A very blessed and good morning to all. Honorable Principal, Nirmala College Ranchi, and patron of the 5-day skill development program in English language, Dr. Sister Jyoti, respected Vice Principal, Sister Shobha, our esteemed resource persons for the program, Dr. Revathi Srinivas, Department of Materials Development, Testing and Evaluation, English School of English Language Education, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, Telangana, and Professor M.E. Veda Sharan, Department of English as Second Language Studies, School of English Language Education, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, Telangana, CP Coordinator and Head of the Department of Geography, Dr. Devchani Roy, faculty members of various departments, my dear colleagues, and zestful participants. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I, Dr. Sukanya, welcome you all to the 5-day skill development program in English language organized by the CP Committee and Department of English, Nirmala College Ranchi, with academic support from our mentors from the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, and sponsored under the UGC CPE scheme. As we begin this 5-day journey, let us thank the Almighty for gracing us with this opportunity of learning and invoke His blessings for the entire journey to be successful and peaceful. Let us join our hands in reverence of the Supreme Power and seek His blessings for this expedition to fulfill our yearning to learn and grow. Please join us in the hymn, Numerous Strings in Your Lute.
There are numerous strings in your lute. Let me add my own. There are numerous strings in your lute. Let me add my own among them. Then spite your cause, my heart will break in silence, and my heart will be one with your song. There are numerous strings in your lute. Let me add my own among them. Amidst your numberless stars, let me place for your little while. Amidst your numberless stars, let me place my there are numerous strings in your lute. Let me add my own among them. In the dance of your festival of lights, my heart will throb and my life will be one with your smile. There are numerous strings in your and relax my love.
Life offers challenges, but we at Nirmala College Ranchi have never let anything stop us from learning and growing. As we live our motto of one heart, one mind, it is under the able leadership of our principal, Dr. Sister Jyoti, that the light of knowledge and innovation shines bright. It is her vision that actualized into a series of such programs, enabling us to disseminate knowledge and empower the student fraternity. I request our Honorable Principal and Patron of the 5-day Skill Development Program in English Language, Dr. Sister Jyoti, to grace us with her kind words.
Thank you, Dr. Tipanya. Esteemed resource persons for 6-day online skill development program for the students, Professor Revathi Srinivas and Professor Veda Sharan. Respected CPE Coordinator, Dr. Debjani Roy, esteemed members of CPE team, respected members of Department of English, all respected faculty members of Nirmala College and others, and my dear students. Wish you all a very warm and blessed good morning. Let us thank the Almighty for giving us this graceful day with numerous blessings. I would like to quote someone saying, yes, someone has rightly said that thinking is progress. Non-thinking is stagnation of the individual, organization, and the country. Thinking leads to action. Knowledge without action is useless and irrelevant. Knowledge with action converts adversity into prosperity. Indeed, this is what I have to say to the CPE team and the Department of English for thinking, meticulous planning, and executing this online 6-day skill development program for the students. It is a matter of great joy and pride for all of us that we at Nirmala College have embarked on another mission of skill development today. The past few days have been daunting and challenging. The pandemic have affected every sphere of our life, so much so that we have learned to live within our four walls. This has, however, not dampened our spirit, though Nirmala College, in its mission to empower the students, has been active in imparting skill-based education. We are lucky to have found great and noble mentors who have willingly come forward to help us today for this 6 day. May I extend a hearty and warm welcome to our esteemed mentors to Nirmala College Ranchi, affiliated to Ranchi University Ranchi, a college with potential for excellence, accredited by NAC with grade A, for this skill development program in English language from the most prestigious institute of language learning in India. Professor Revathi, Srinivas, and Professor Veda Sharan, who are both faculty at the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, have kindly consented to mentor our students and help them cope up with English language. I know that this program is dedicated to the students to enhance their skill, diversity, their knowledge, and adapt modern requirement that is ruling our life. This 5-day skill development program is being sponsored by UGC CPE scheme. I dare to say that Nirmala College, Ranchi is the single recipient of the status of CPE in Jharkhand during the 12th 5-year plan period of UGC. I want to exhort in the words of Gandhiji, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn if you were to live forever. With these sentiments, I invite our students to learn and enjoy this 6-day skill development program. My dear students, wish you all the best. Learning never stops. Give your best and you will receive the best. May God bless you. Have a pleasant time. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for your encouraging words. It is your support, blessings, and reassurance that make such endeavors possible. All this would not have materialized without the sponsorship of UGC CP, along with the guidance and meticulous planning of our CP coordinator, Dr. Devjani Roy. I now request her to edify us about the program and our sponsor, UGC CPE scheme. I request Dr. Devjani Roy to please come on screen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sukanya. I forgot to unmute myself. So, Honorable Principal, Honorable Vice Principal, our most esteemed resource person of this skill development program in English language, Professor Revathi Srinivas and Professor M.E. Vedasharan, my colleagues at Nirmala College, and my dear participants. Wish you all a very good morning. And may I extend warm greetings to each one of you for this skill development program in English language. It gives me immense pleasure to say a few words about the UGC CPE scheme, the main funding agency of the program. Nirmala College is the only college in the state of Jharkhand that is presently the recipient of UGC CPE scheme. A college with potential for excellence is provided substantial funds to improve and strengthen its infrastructure that would help it in attaining further higher academic standards. Nirmala College was granted with this CPE status in 2016, and ever since then, we have organized several skill development programs to enhance the latent qualities of our students and the youth in general. Some of our programs include photography workshop, GIS remote sensing workshop, and even career advancement workshops. We have been extremely successful in all of these. Excellence, needless to say, is achieved in stages through a process of continuous improvement in content and quality of the pursuit. In an attempt to preserve and protect the label of excellence, the college has arranged for skill development program in English language. We are very fortunate to have with us two very renowned faculty from the premier University for English Language Study as our mentors. The esteemed mentors will guide you and support you in your quest for English learning, English understanding, and English delivering. This workshop is not an ideal way of learning all the intricacies of a language, but our experienced mentors will make it happen by giving you a new direction and access to learning English. So without much ado, I, Dr. Devjani Roy, the CPE coordinator of the college, On behalf of the principal, management, and staff, extend my deepest sense of gratitude to the UGCCP for funding the skill development program, and also to our esteemed resource person for their invaluable academic support. Let us together make it a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. With the world becoming so much closer and more connected, culturally, politically, and economically integrated, it becomes imperative to assimilate and imbibe the global language to efficiently communicate with people all around the planet. English is used as a common language, even though there are some variations in habits, cultures, traditions, regions, and idiosyncratic aspects. It is said to be the first global lingua franca, and it is the most widely used language in the world, be it international trade, diplomacy, mass entertainment, international communications, or publications. Understanding the basics of communication in this global language thus becomes the need of the hour. We feel highly privileged to have with us eminent resource persons who will walk us through the nitty-gritty of English communication woven through the listening, reading, and speaking skills. I request Head of Department English, Nirmala College Ranchi, Dr. Afrinul Haq Khan, to introduce our illustrious resource persons for the 5-day skill development program in English language.
Sukanya, am I audible?
Yes, very much, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sukanya. A very warm good morning to our Honorable Principal and Chairperson, UGCCP, Dr. Sister Jyoti, respected Vice Principal, Sister Shobha, our esteemed resource persons, Professor Vedasharan and Dr. Revathi Srinivas from the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, respected Coordinator, UGCCPE, Dr. Devjani Roy, faculty members of Nirmala College, and the participants of today's skill development program. On behalf of the organizing committee of Nirmala College, I deem it a great honor and privilege to introduce and welcome our eminent and esteemed resource persons, the mentors from the English and Foreign Languages University, to the 5-day skill development program in English language organized by CP Committee and the Department of English, Nirmala College under the UGC CPE scheme. I will give a brief introduction of our distinguished resource persons, Professor M.E. Vedasharan and Dr. Revathi Srinivas. Professor M.E. Vedasharan is a professor and former head in the Department of English as Second Language Studies, School of English Language Education, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, Telangana. Presently, Professor Vedasharan is the Dean Publications. Sir did his PhD from the University of Hyderabad, and he is greatly interested in language learning and literature. His fields of interest include English language teaching, vocabulary acquisition, academic writing skills, English literature, Indian, European, and American history. Sir has a teaching experience of over 34 years. Dr. Revathi Srinivas is Associate Professor in the Department of Materials Development and Testing and Evaluation, School of English Language Education, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, Telangana. Dr. Revathi did her PhD from Osmania University, Hyderabad. She received a certificate in teaching English to young learners from UMBC, Maryland, USA. She was a Fulbright Nehru postdoctoral fellow for the year 2015-16. She has a number of publications to her credit, which include articles in journals and books like Teaching Young Learners, a handbook for English language teachers, Communicating Effectively in English, Let's Talk, your guide to everyday conversation skills. Ma'am has expertise in fields and areas like teaching, listening comprehension, teaching oral communication skills, and teaching speaking skills. So we have the very best with us today. You are welcome to this platform, Professor Vedasharan and Dr. Revathi Srinivas. Over to you, Dr. Revathi Srinivas, to take us through what promises to be a very exciting journey and foray in language learning.
Thank you, Dr. Afreen Khan. Before we begin the sessions, there are a few instructions for dear participants. Please make a note of each of them. Your attendance in every session is mandatory. At the end of each session, the link to the feedback form will be provided in the YouTube chat box as well as the WhatsApp group. The link will remain open only for 30 minutes. Each of you are requested to submit the feedback form within this stipulated time. You may post your queries in the chat box during the session, which will be taken up by our mentors at the end of every session. On completion of the entire program, that is after the 10th session, an online test of 30 marks will be conducted. These questions will be based on all the 10 sessions lectures. Only those participants who secure a 50% marks in the test will be awarded with certificates. And now, without much ado, I seek the permission of the chair to begin the session.
I think you may continue, Sukanya. Sister must be busy with some other work.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. So with the permission of the chair, I request our resource person for the first session, Dr. Revathi Srinivas, to take us through the first session. Over to you, Dr. Revathi Srinivas.
A very good morning to you all. Am I audible?
Absolutely, ma'am.
Well, this seems to be the usual greeting these days through the online mode. Earlier, we used to say, how are you, and things like that. Now we are forced to say, am I audible? Am I visible? So first of all, let me thank the management of the college and also Dr. Roy for giving me this opportunity to interact with you on this online platform. Well, let me make one thing very clear. As a teacher, I strongly believe that I'm a learner forever. So there's nothing great about me. I'm here to share whatever little experience I've gathered over these years in these 2 or 3 areas which I feel very committed to. So one of them being oral communication skills. And as was explained to everyone earlier, I'd be dealing with bifurcating the oral communication skills into listening and speaking, and taking you through some of the nitty-gritties of how to listen to become a better listener, and also when we speak, what are some of the things that we need to remember. All right. Who do I correspond or talk to in case I have some issue? Is it Dr. Roy or Dr. Sukanya who is available?
Both of us are there, ma'am, right beside you. So you can just...
Yes,
they're
Dr.
there to assist
Revathi,
you.
I am there, but Sukanya will take care of the technical part. Okay, I am there with you. Thank you.
Since I don't see any of the participants around, and so I was wondering whether they are able to hear me, whether they get me or not.
Ma'am, some of them are there on this Zoom, and most of them are there on the YouTube. So
Okay.
yes, they're logged in the YouTube.
All right. Can we start the session now?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Can we have the learner responses also sometimes in case there is a question that I ask? Okay, so let's begin with a very small activity. Think about this, what I'm going to say now. What did you listen to in the last 2 or 3 days? Just make a list of whatever you have listened to in whichever language it is. It could be English or Hindi or your mother tongue or any other language. It doesn't matter. What did you listen to? Just make a list of that. All right, someone says please type, so I'm going to do that. Chat.
Ma'am, this is for the students. I have requested them to chat in their answers so that you can see it immediately. And if you want or allow them to speak up, then we'll unmute them and they can interact with you directly via video.
I think they can do that, some of them at least, but I need to know whether everyone has understood what I've asked them to do.
Okay, sure, ma'am.
So I'm going to just key in the same thing which I said. All right, can I have some responses, please?
Ma'am, we couldn't hear the audio actually. So can you please replay it once again with the enabling the sound from the computer?
I can read out some of the answers to Dr. Revathi. Shweta Tiwari. Can I have some responses? Yes, yes. Shweta Tiwari in YouTube has written. Now we could hear the audio actually. Shweta Tiwari. Can you please replay it once with the enabling the sound from the computer? No,
I think the audio is coming much later. Yes, Dr. Roy.
Shweta Tiwari. Yes, yes. Shweta Tiwari in YouTube has written. Hear the audio actually. Shweta Tiwari. Sukanya, I have responses. I have responses.
Yes, Dr. Roy, carry on. You can
Yes.
come on screen and carry on with the responses. Yes.
Okay. So Shweta Tiwari. Sukanya, I have responses. I have responses.
Yes, Dr. Roy, carry on. You can come on screen and carry on with the responses.
Shweta Tiwari has written that she has seen movie in Hindi and English. Harshit Soreng, Hindi and English. Someone has written Russian language, English and Hindi. NPS Bartola. Shweta Tiwari has written that she has seen movie in Hindi and English. Most of them have written news, songs in Hindi and English. Some people have even written Chinese. Sriya Soumya, Chinese. I don't know whether they learn Chinese or not. Someone has written Bengali, Shakuntala Mahato, Bengali, Hindi, English, songs. Anshu Jha has written Spanish language. Jyoti Kumari, news. Manish Kumar, news and songs. So I think we get some idea, Dr. Revathi.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. This leads me to the next question. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Now, if I go back to whatever you've said, like one person said dialogues in movies. Most people have said movies in Hindi and English, and also songs in whatever language, Hindi, English, Bengali, and probably even Chinese. And one person has typed in the chat box saying conversation between vendors and grandmother and so on, and also some kind of conversation. Now, stop here for a minute and think about this question, which I'm going to ask you now. When you listen to a song and when you listen to news, either on the radio or YouTube or the internet medium or on the television, do you pay equal attention or is it different? I'll repeat my question. When you say that you listen to songs and you listen to news either on the television or maybe on the internet or on your mobile phone, wherever it is, do you pay the same kind of attention? In the sense, do you listen to it the same way or is there a difference? Your responses, please. All right. Some of them say it's different. Most of you say it's different. So, add-on question: why do you say it is different? We are listening, whether it is a song or to a conversation or to a news, or even when you are speaking to somebody over the telephone, it is listening. So, what is different? Why do you say it is different? Can we please have some of the students say something? Is it possible?
Dr. Revathi, I have an answer from Ravi Roshan, who says, I pay attention to words, some words, but some of the words are not understood. So I
Okay.
think he means news and songs, something like that. Then someone else says that there is some difference. There's some difference between news and song.
Yeah,
Shivani Kumari has.
that's exactly what I'm trying to make them think about. When we say there is a difference, why are we saying that there is a difference? Ultimately, we are listening to something, whether it is song, it is a song, or it is news, or maybe a conversation, or to dialogues in a film. We are listening, but then we say it is different. Why are we saying it is different?
Yes, Yashwanti, please unmute yourself and speak up. Shruti Priya, Yashwanti, Sajit Rai, any of you want to speak up? Please unmute yourself. Come on video and speak up. Priya Jha, Kanak Kumari.
I have a very interesting answer from Sonali Simran, Dr. Revathi, who says
Yes, yes.
music is for mood change. That
Okay.
matters. Okay. And Surbhi Kumari says due to the content. Someone else, Muhammad Dilshad says music heals, but news puts us into deep thinking. Movies play with our emotions. Ishita Roy says, while listening to music, we don't feel like it's important. And few songs which relate to our mood, we listen to them carefully. Or while talking on phone, we listen carefully in order to answer. But news, we do not do the same. Ravi Roshan says lack of vocabulary. Someone
Okay.
has unmuted. Who is this one? May I know your name?
All right. I think these responses are great. So
Mhm.
what you're trying to tell me is that whether when we listen to the news and when we listen to a song, the purpose of listening is totally different. Let me give you an example. In the last few months, all of us have been sailing, going through a very difficult time. Like we would want to know what is happening around the world in terms of this COVID, whether any country or any person or any team has come up with some kind of a vaccine or not, how many people have been affected, what is it that we are supposed to do to keep ourselves safe. So we pay a lot of attention to what is being said when we listen to news. But as some of you pointed out, if I'm in a very good mood, I choose a song which will pep up and add to it. If I'm a little sad, then automatically I select a song that will match my mood. Over there, my intention is not to understand each and every word, but to match to my mood. So the first thing that I would like to draw your attention to is that when we listen, there is always a purpose. For example, when your friend tells you a joke, you listen to it and then you decide to respond to it by laughing or you just keep quiet. That is, when you get a gist of everything, you are able to respond. So you listen for gist. For another example, suppose you are standing either on a railway platform or at an airport. Continuously, there are announcements being made. Do you listen to all the announcements, or will your ears just pick up like that the minute you get to listen to the train number by which you're traveling or the flight that you want to take? Most probably, you will pay more attention to the train, the announcement pertaining to the train that you are traveling by or the flight you wish to take. That is, you are selectively listening and you're paying more attention to that particular announcement, which means your purpose over there is to listen for specific information. When you sit down in a classroom and when your teacher is discussing something with you can't say, I'm going to listen to only 5 sentences. Over there, the purpose is to get information, details, and everything. So what I'm trying to tell you is, though we say we listen to so many things, like you might be passing by, someone is indulged in conversation, you overhear that. You listen to news, you listen to songs, you watch somebody say something, you call up people, you share something. In all these contexts, the common skill is listening. But it is not the same because there are several factors which will make us decide whether I want to listen to everything or do I want to pick and choose some of the things which are very relevant for me. So the way we listen is not the same because it is affected by certain factors, one of them being the purpose of listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask at this point.
Well, Dr. Revathi, Brajesh Mishra has very kindly said, ma'am, understood. It
All
only
right.
depends on our interest. So we listen
Okay.
to announcement related to our purpose. This is what.
Yes.
We listen carefully to
Yes.
train number because it matters. Okay.
Right.
We
So
have
the first thing, I hope we are all on the, give us more examples on purposes. I'll do that. Um, One example I have already given you. Suppose you're standing in the railway platform and you want to know either from which platform the train is going to leave or you're there to receive someone, so you want to know on which platform the train is arriving. So then you listen to it very carefully. Even when I gave you this example of listening to news, suppose it's a half an hour telecast. Do you listen to all the items presented in the news with the same kind of attentiveness? What I mean to say is, we don't. Generally, right from the beginning to the end, we don't pay the same kind of attention. This is because there might be certain areas which interest us. For example, as children, as kids, you might want to know a little more about sports. You may not be very interested in politics. So you might just listen to the first part of the news, paying a little attention. All right, so and so said this, so and so said that, this is what happened in this state, this is what happened in Bihar, this is what happened in Andhra, and so on. But when the segment related to sports comes up, you become very attentive. So then the purpose is different. To give you one more example, I'm sure all of you watch cricket. Most of you, let me take my words back, not all, most of you love to watch cricket. For some reason, let us say the telecast is, you're not getting the signal, so you listen to the news. So the minute you get to that section, you become very alert. You want to know which bowler has bowled, with how many runs has somebody scored, when did this person lose the wicket, and so on and so forth. So the purpose over there is different. Suppose the same cricket commentary, somebody is giving you an explanation in terms of performance of players. There you are analyzing the performance of the players, therefore your purpose is different. You listen to a song, sometimes you want to listen to it to get the lyrics, maybe some words that you want to learn, then your purpose is different. Sometimes you might be working and you just want to listen to some music so that it soothes you, then the purpose is different. So when we listen, there are several purposes, and depending on the purpose, the way we listen to differs. All right. Now, the next thing that comes up is the medium. For instance, if you imagine me doing the same thing in a classroom, I am sure the way we are interacting would have had a different effect altogether. A simple reason is, right now, I'm not too sure how I am visible on the screen. But on my screen, I can see only my face. So I assume that you get a small picture of mine on your screen and you're viewing me. Imagine if I were standing in front of you and I'm talking to you like the way I'm talking to you right now. So that's one scenario. This is the second scenario. A third scenario is, suppose I'm talking to you about the same thing over the phone. So we have three different media over here. One is a face-to-face medium, another one is a video like this, and a third one is just an audio. Do you think it's going to make a major difference? Even though the content is the same, will listening to any of these three be different from the others? If so, how? All right, I can see responses where you said yes, there is difference. In what way is it different?
Yes, Kavita Mahato has said, yes, because it is a matter of interest. Our mind attracts in which we are more interested and it's useful for us, something like that. I think what she means to say is we pick and choose what we want to hear. That's what, yes, ma'am, it would make a
Okay.
difference. Priya Jha has said, definitely it will make a difference. Astha Sinha, yes, ma'am, major difference get created using different medium. Ankita Verma, yes, ma'am, when you will be standing in front of us, that will be more impactful. Ankita Verma has said
All
this.
right.
But
I'm
when
glad,
you're standing in front,
yeah,
yeah.
Ankita has just Yeah, she's hit the nail on the right point. It makes a lot of difference for two reasons. One, when someone you're able to see a person standing in front of you, even though you may not understand 100% what that person is saying, but looking at the facial expressions, looking at the way the person's body communicates with you, you can make out what this person is saying. Again, to give you one example, when we watch English movies without subtitles, I'm sure all of you will agree with me when I say this, that we don't understand each and every word that is spoken by every actor or actresses, right? In spite of that, we get the gist of it by looking at how the actors or the characters behave, which means in a face-to-face medium, along with the verbal part, you have other non-verbal communication which helps you understand what the speaker is saying. All right. Same is more or less the case with video as well. Whereas when you listen to somebody on the telephone, you have only the tone to fall back on. So sometimes it becomes a little difficult to understand what exactly that person is saying. So the second factor that affects our listening is medium. The first one being purpose. So we have a purpose, and second, the medium through which we are listening to someone also affects the way we listen. I'm sure if I were doing this over the phone, after about 10 or 15 minutes, all of you would lose interest because it is the medium which also adds to how we listen. The third factor is the relationship between the speaker and the listener. To give you another uh, roll number 230, Arushi has said something. Should I take that or can I continue?
Yes, ma'am, you can take it.
What does it say? I couldn't get the full
The main
comment.
difference is the impact it has between the speaker and the listener.
All right. Okay. So we're coming to the third factor, which is the role played by the speaker and the listener. For example, when you are in a classroom, I'm sure you talk to each other even when the class is going on. As students, even we've done that. So we sail in the same boat that way. When you talk to your teacher, or when your teacher says something to you, you become a little more alert. Whereas when you talk amongst yourselves, even if you don't pay attention to what someone says, it really doesn't matter so much. So the roles that we play when we listen and speak also affect the way that we listen. To give you one more example, let us say your class has been summoned by your head of the department, and she has some important announcements to make. You will very attentively listen to that. Whereas if the same announcements are being explained to you by one of your friends, you will say, "हाँ हाँ ठीक है, okay, सुन लिया, कर लेंगे." So half of it you might have listened, half of it you may not have. So the third factor is the role relationship between the speaker and the listener. And the last one is the environment. That's the external environment. Right now, we are sitting in our own rooms and we are listening to each other. Well, I would say one way, but still, you're communicating through other forms. But imagine if I had opened, right now I've shut my windows and so on so that there isn't any external noise. But if I had opened them and there is a lot of external noise, then what will happen? then you would be strained to listen and understand whatever I am saying. So I repeat, listening is affected by several factors, out of which we are discussing only 4 of them, which are very crucial. That is your purpose. Why am I listening? Second, the medium through which the listening audio comes to you, whether it is only audio or whether it is audio and video or whether it is face-to-face mode of communication. The third one is the relationship between the speaker and the listener. And the last one is the environment. That is why when someone calls you while he or she is walking on the road, you would say, huh? Huh? What is it? What is it? And the other person has to repeat himself or herself several times. This is because there is a lot of external, the environment impacts the way you listen and what you want to listen to. All right. Can we have some questions if somebody
Yes,
wants to say?
yes, Dr. Revathi, Shivani Kumari has said for introverts, it is a boon to be on video because extroverts in the class do not allow others to interact. In this way, everyone can raise a question. So it's an interesting observation. And
Yes.
Sonali Simran has said eye contact matters a lot. And then we have Tusharika Sinha who says, yes, ma'am, relationship means a kind of connection. And if it is strong, it will definitely make us more attentive. And it also depends on the contents, whether they are important or not.
Yeah.
That is what.
The context and the message that we want to give.
Ma'am,
Okay.
we have another very interesting answer here. Tumpa Kumari says that, yes, ma'am, sometimes we don't understand English movies. Behavior is helpful to understand what they are saying. So this must be
Very
her observation during any foreign language movie or especially English movies.
yes. Yes. Okay. So the next thing, can we go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think they need some explanation on the third role relationship. I think Nandini Arora has said, ma'am, could you please explain the third point once again? You said about the role relationship. I think she wants that portion to be cleared.
Right. I expected this to come up. Can I keep this aside for the speaking class? I'll give you more concrete examples when we do speaking. When we say oral communications, normally we mix both the speaking as well as the listening part. So I'll explain that to you in the context of speaking. So automatically when you speak, there is somebody who's listening to you. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
All right. So some of the factors we have discussed. Now let us look at some of the strategies or the methods that we employ when we listen to. So we may listen to get the gist of the text, right? Or we may listen for some of the details. Sometimes what we do what is called selective listening. Sometimes we listen to get the main argument. Sometimes in a classroom scenario, we listen to make a note of what is important. And in the process, we filter whatever is not actually required. Again, when we talk about a classroom scenario, lectures for example, if it is a 1 hour class, let's say from 10 to 11, do you remember each and every word that your teacher has uttered between 10 and 11? I'm sure your answer is no. This is because our mind automatically filters what is important for us and it registers that. And that is what we make note of. Because in a classroom, again, to give you the same example, whatever is happening right now, for the last 15 or 20 minutes, I've been talking to you about the purposes of listening and the way we listen to and so on. But I'm sure at the end of the class, you might remember the four factors like purpose, medium, and the relationship, and also the environment. Not so much in terms of each and every word I have uttered. This means we focus on what is important and we filter whatever is not important to us. All right. I saw some comments. Do you want me to look at them, or are they
Yes,
comments?
Neha Ghoshal. She has said, yes, Neha Ghoshal says there's difference between external and internal environment. And Shivastri has said, no, ma'am, we are not able to remember. Most of them, they said that books we remember, but point is important to us. Some, Krishna Kumari, roll number 110, said something like this. Then Anshu Jha says, mind plays a very vital role. These are some of the observations, ma'am. Then Kanak Kumari says, only the theme and the conclusion is there in the mind till the end.
Right. This is because you listen to the main argument and you filter whatever is unnecessary for you. I'll give you one more example to substantiate what I'm trying to say. I'm sure all of you watch movies, right? Whatever, in whichever language, whatever genre it is. Suppose you watched a movie, let's say 2 or 3 days ago. Then one of your friends asks you, hey, what is the movie about? Most often, what is your answer? Tell me about the movie. Summary. Somebody says summary. I would be very interested to see if anyone starts by saying, all right, the movie started at 2 o'clock. So first the curtain is raised, then the title of the movie comes, followed by this, followed by that. And in the first scene, this happens, next scene, this happens, third scene, this, then this, then this, then this. Does someone explain the movie like that?
Ma'am, we have some answers on the YouTube, which says genre, gist, storyline, central idea, the plot. Diksha Kumari says being conscious to note the points in oral conversation, synopsis, theme of the movie.
So, right. So if somebody asks you what is the movie about or what is the plot of the movie, you summarize it, which means you are selecting the main aspects of the movie and you are sharing those. You don't go into nitty-gritties and details like in the first scene this happens, after that the hero says this, then somebody says this, then the father character says this, because it's humanly impossible for anyone to remember all that. Yet we remember some of the lines. That is again idiosyncratic because at some level we connect with that. So some of the popular lines where we still remember those are because they have some kind of an emotional value for whoever listens or views that. So these are some of the methods that we employ to recall whatever we have listened to. So I repeat, we might listen to get the gist of it. We might listen to pick and choose details, or we might listen selectively, ignoring the other things. We might listen for the main ideas, or we might listen and take notes. So these are the different techniques and the purposes, the medium, the roles that we play, and the environment add to these two. So when these two go together, that will determine whether we are efficient listeners or not. All right. So If you ask me this question, how do I become an efficient listener? If you pay conscious attention to these aspects, which are mostly non-verbal, as you see, purpose is non-verbal, environment is non-verbal, medium is non-verbal, relationship is non-verbal. Whether I'm listening for gist or am I listening for details or am I going to listen selectively, all these are non-linguistic factors that affect the way we listen, right? If we have any questions at this point, can we take them?
There are no questions, ma'am. They are just
There is Sukanya, Dr. Revathi. There's a question from. I'm sorry, I'm not able to take off my video. There's a question from a child called Anchal. And she says that during communication, how do we build up a relation between the speaker and the listener? Because that you said was one of the purposes.
Yeah,
And
we
that
don't,
how to
we don't build a relationship. It is the relationship between the speaker and the listener which affects the way we select our words and the responses that we want to form to that. This is why I said I'll discuss
yes,
this when we
yes,
discuss the
yes.
speaking
So
part
we
of
should
it.
keep this point for the
Yeah,
another session. I'll call this down. Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
or maybe
Thank
I'll
you.
just give one example because I don't want them to be thinking what it is about. Let us take a very simple word like good morning. All right, that's a greeting. I'm not going to use that word, but I'm going to say when you meet someone in the morning, you greet them, don't you? So let's take up one or two scenarios. You're walking in the on the campus. You happen to meet one of your friends. How would you greet them? You're walking on the campus, you happen to meet your teacher. How would you greet them? You are walking on the campus and you happen to meet your principal. How would you greet them? I've given you three scenarios. In all the three scenarios, your purpose is to greet someone. Would you be greeting A, B, and C in the order that I have given you in the same way?
Right, right. I think this will make Anchal think a little now.
So when you want to greet your friend, you want to greet your teacher, you want to greet your principal, would you be greeting all of them in the same way?
Anchal,
Answer,
would you be greeting everyone? Would you be greeting all of them the same way?
answer, answer is no. So a further
No,
question is,
ma'am.
why do you
Exactly,
say
no.
no? Why do you say no? Ultimately, your purpose is to greet.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you want
Exactly.
to greet
There's a difference
someone,
Ma-
between formal and informal. A formal greeting and an informal greeting. So that is the rule.
so
The
you
exactly.
might just raise your hand and say, "Hey there" to your friend, or you wouldn't even say something. You might just wave your fingers like that. But when you greet your teacher, you might say, "Good morning, ma'am." When you greet your principal, your voice becomes even more polite. You might even fold your hands and you might say, "A very good morning, ma'am." So the purpose is to greet, but the way you greet depends on the relationship between the speaker and the listener.
I think
Right.
Anchal, that answers you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
In the same way, suppose you go to your friend's house and you want a cup of, let's say, a glass of water. How would you ask? Responses, please.
ma'am, the YouTube has a bit of time lag, so we're waiting for the responses.
Sure. Sure. Angel says very casually, but can you give me the sentence, the utterance? What do you mean by very casually?
Ma'am, it's like, can I have a glass
I
of
mean,
water?
Right. Shubhra Karan is using Hindi to say pani dena.
No problem, no problem. Pani dena, or can you give me a glass of water? Fair enough. Suppose you go to Dr. Roy's house and you want water. Can you say pani dena?
I think no.
Ma'am, we have a very interesting answer here which says that Veena Kumari, ma'am, here we have to follow formal and informal greetings. For teachers, there should be formal greetings, and for friends, we can do an informal greeting, and I think then she would ask for a glass of water.
Okay, so I'm getting responses here. Ma'am, may I get a glass of water, please, and so on. All right, let's take this water business a little ahead. Um, so you've got this formal and informal techniques. They are not techniques, so language. Imagine you going home, you in the sense the student over here, and same purpose, you want to have some water. So you go home and you ask your mother or father, you say, "My dear esteemed parent, I would be highly obliged if you quenched my thirst with a glass of water." Do you understand, first of all?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, can you
we are having some nice, interesting comments. This says that definitely not, ma'am. And they have all put on, emoticons, smiley ones, laughing away.
Yeah.
When you said yes, they all of them have posted those emoticons showing that they are smiling away. And no, they will definitely not say it in the formal way as you have
Oh,
mentioned over here.
all right. So I hope I have driven the point across.
Yes,
Then when I
yes.
say the
Someone said
role
unimaginable. Someone said unimaginable. The relation becomes different while asking water from parents. We do not ask, we'll simply go get up and get the water. That is something. Come on. We won't ask them
nice.
for water, we'll get up and get the water.
I think asking your father for water and asking your mother for water also will make a difference in the tone and the words.
Absolutely.
In the tone and the words.
Absolutely. Right. So anyway, I'm glad the point is driven that the roles that we play are very different, and therefore our relationships are also different, and that affects the way we talk or we listen to. So usually when the father says something, children are a little more attentive, careful, whereas when the mother says something, ha ha, theek hai. That is the usual response we get. So this is the point I was trying to drive across. That when we listen and when we speak, the way we mould ourselves depends on the role relationships or the roles that we play. All right. Um, Someone says if I have to get some work done. Okay, I have 1 minute left in case there are any questions.
Could I, Swastika from the English Honors again asks, is listening more important than speaking? Now, I don't know, this will come in purview of today's, but could you take that up, Dr. Revathi?
Okay. Uh, this is like saying if you have two hands, which of these two are important?
Both in
You,
different.
you cannot you cannot speak unless you listen to. Right.
And
Now the fact that you're asking me this question is because you're listening to me. If you hadn't listened to me, then this question wouldn't arise.
she would
So
not
they
have
go
spoken it.
hand in
Yes.
hand. They go hand in hand. When someone says something, we listen to it and we try to interpret that. And our interpretation is again decided by several other factors, more chief of it being our experience and the mood we are in, and so on. So I'm not going into those details now because we really don't have time for those. But I've touched upon the major aspects which constitute or which affect the way we listen.
Hello, ma'am.
Mhm.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Shubhra, and I want to ask a question.
Sure, please.
Ma'am, I want to ask that how much does a change in environment, or to what extent a change in environment affects our learning, or for the fact that listening protocol?
To a large extent, I would say, if you put yourselves in this position, for instance, you are sitting at home and I'm walking on the road and I call you up. There's something which I want to share with you, I want to tell you, but there is so much of external noise. Every nanosecond there is a horn, and then people talk, there are buses going, cars going. So when I want to say when I'm saying something, sitting at home, you're not able to hear what I'm saying. So after a couple of minutes your interest loses. So that way, environment plays a major role in the way it in the way it affects your listening. And also from the speaker's point of view, it is a very stressful act because this person has to convey something. And the message does not get across because of the external noise. So if I'm taking the same example forward, if I want to say something to you, I'll have to repeat it several times, shout at the top of my voice. Even then, I'm not sure whether you understood me the way I wanted you to understand. So thereby, there might be a possibility of a communication break. So I might be saying something, you might understand it in a different way and you might respond to it. Then I'll have to go back and say, no, 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 that's not what I said. You know, I said this. So that's how environment plays a major role.
Okay,
Of
thank you,
course,
ma'am.
yeah, there are other factors as well. It depends on your mood, it depends on the time of the day. Suppose at the end of the day you're very tired and you walk into the house and your mother wants to say something, you'd simply say, please don't tell me anything now. I'm sure it must have happened to most of you. I
Yes,
give this
ma'am.
example.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I give this example because I've gone through this several times at my home. I have two boys who keep repeatedly saying this to me. You want to talk to them in the morning? Ma, please, subah subah shuru mat karo yaar. All right, fine. Lunchtime. Khane do na yaar, abhi kya bolna hai? Fine, fair enough. So when we look at it from the listener's point of view, there are several other personal factors also that affect, but which I'm not going into because then it'll become a one-on-one kind of a session. But by and
Sure,
large,
ma'am. Okay.
yeah, by and large, these are the external factors which affect our listening.
Dr. Revathi, Kavita Mahato, she has put in a question, ma'am. We discuss all the factors that affect our listening skills. But ma'am, I want to know how we can improve our skills. That is a question. I think it's too early to take this question as she
Tomorrow,
goes through the entire program. I don't know, it's up to you, ma'am. And this is her question. Kavita Mahato has put this question.
sure, we'll take this up. I think I'm exceeding my time. It's already 11:04. I don't want to hold you back from your cup of tea. Tomorrow and probably the day after, we'll have a couple of activities where you will be listening to something and working on a few exercises and activities based on that. As and when we progress through each of the activities, I will explain some of the techniques and strategies that you might want to adapt.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. This has been such an interactive session. And I think the children have totally, been with you throughout. And this is audience has been so discerning, and they have been with you from the beginning. The questions that they've been asking, and the very interactive discussion there, I have been following it. I think they've been learning the intricacies of the language also, and how they have been assimilating it and how to assimilate it some more. And you've been guiding us so much throughout. Thank you so much. I think now they are going to learn how to actually listen to something, not just hear. And I think they will understand now what how they were making an error, or how the kind of mistake that they were making when they say nahi sunai di. I didn't realize, I didn't hear. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for today's session. CP committee, thank you so much. And the sponsorship from the UGC CP scheme, thank you, Dr. Devjani, Dr. Sister Jyoti, our principal. So grateful to you. You have been, with us, starting this program and guiding us into new and newer ways of learning. Thank you so much. We conclude the session just now because we have another one coming up. I'd like to remind the students just now, fill in the feedback forms. You have a feedback form coming in, I think, in your WhatsApp groups. Fill it in within half an hour of receiving it. And the second session will begin at 11:30 sharp. Please log in with the ID that is being sent to you in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you.